Hello, my name is Faith Raguel. I'm Chief Operating Officer of the Autry National Center. We're extremely proud of the work we're doing to save and restore this wonderful landmark, the Southwest Museum building. The Southwest Museum originally opened in 1914 and has sadly deteriorated during its long life. Reviving this iconic landmark is an Autry National Center priority, and we're strongly committed to this goal. We're also working hard to bring a dynamic and revitalized use to the building once the extensive rehabilitation work is complete. Our preservation plan has several aspects. We've already addressed a number of urgent building issues such as dangerous electrical panels, leaking pipes, and failed heating and cooling systems. We've assembled a fantastic preservation team led by acclaimed architect Brenda Levin, who is serving as project principal. You'll hear from Brenda and some of her team of experts. Bill Wallace, a structural engineer who's been on the team for more than 3 years, and Carolyn Searles, an engineer specializing in waterproofing historic and other challenging buildings. You'll also hear from Selma Holo, museum expert and Mount Washington resident, about the requirements of a modern and viable museum and what it takes for a cultural facility like the Southwest to thrive today and well into the future.
In 2003, the Autry National Center asked us to perform a rehabilitation study on the Southwest Museum. And what that means is for us to look very carefully at the existing conditions of the building. What are the deficiencies? What are the needs? What are some of the aspects of the building that need to be improved? Everything that we can determine through visual inspection and our investigation of past documentation. One of the unique characteristics of the Southwest Museum, unlike many other historic projects that we have worked on, landmark buildings, is that it remains pretty much the same as it was in 1914. And many of the same problems, significant problems, it had at that point in time exist today.
The Southwest Museum was built in 1914, and it was one of the first reinforced concrete structures to be built in California. The site was very primitive at the time in 1914, so they placed all of the concrete with wheelbarrows and horse-drawn carriages. See, the building is really quite beautiful, but the site is incredibly difficult. The building is perched up on top of this mountain, and access is by this one road up to the parking lot there. This next photo, as you can see, shows what we call the Caracol Tower. This is the area that the majority of the collection has been housed in. Most of the damage that occurred during the Northridge earthquake occurred on these corners, the attachment to the original museum building. But as you can see, there are other issues here. It's a very tall, slender structure, and we also have very slender columns here, which sustained significant damage during the Northridge earthquake as well. Unfortunately, the FEMA report, or FEMA DSR, only allows us to repair the existing cracking and structural damage. It does not allow us to mitigate any of the seismic deficiencies of the Caracol Tower. During a significant seismic event, we would expect this tower to have significant damage and definitely not be of the life safety standard that we would expect from today's codes.
Over the past 2 years, well after the completion of the rehabilitation study, we've continued our work on the Southwest Museum, working with staff on both FEMA grant monies available and CCHE, which is the California Cultural Historical Endowment. The Autry National Center was successful in writing an application for funding for the Southwest Museum and received a grant for close to $1 million. In evaluating what we should spend the money on, it really became a necessity to address some of the water infiltration issues that became apparent in the horrible winter of 2005 when it seemed the rains never stopped.
In February of 2006, we did a much more detailed investigation of the Southwest Museum. Our investigation consisted of rappelling down the Caracol Tower and portions of the Plains Hall to do a close-up inspection of the plaster concrete windows and doors. We did some flood testing of roofs and plazas and some water testing of walls and windows. And we made some inspection openings and took some cores through the walls to understand what the existing construction of the building is. There is extensive water damage in various areas of the museum. There's water leakage in all levels of Caracol Tower. It comes through the roofs, through the walls, through the balcony doors, and through the basement walls below grade. There's water leakage into the exhibition area in Plains Hall in a couple of places, and there's water infiltration into the walls of the elevator tower and into the sub-basement of Torrance Tower. What we found is that the deterioration of the plaster and the concrete was much more extensive than we thought, than we could have seen from ground level, even using binoculars. We tapped on the plaster and found that much of it, maybe almost half of the plaster on Caracol Tower, is delaminated from the concrete beneath. That creates a big problem both for waterproofing and for life safety concerns because pieces of the plaster could fall off.
The challenges of displaying historical, artistic, valuable artifacts in a historic building are numerous. The building would have to be absolutely free of any damaging humidity. Has to be absolutely free of insects. It has to be absolutely free of harmful light. It has to be absolutely safe from earthquakes. This is something which we all know that when museums were built 100 years ago, were not all taken into account.
After we complete the exterior envelope of the building and secure it and make the building watertight, I look forward to working on the interior of the building where we can restore some of the gallery spaces, Sprague Hall, California Hall, into the original vision of Lummis with skylights open and windows and lots of natural light. But I hope we'll find many uses for the building that will reference Lummis, his vision, and the future of Los Angeles.
Thank you for taking such a strong interest in our work to save and revive this Los Angeles treasure. We are thrilled to continue the process of rehabilitation so that future generations can enjoy this landmark. The Autry National Center has been and will continue to be a steward of the Southwest Museum. Join us and be a part of our future. Thank you.